This is Investigation. I'm your host, Hatter, along with my co hosts.
Cass.
And Scoot.
And today we are going to be investigating West Virginia ghost stories. So we all have a couple that we decided to do. We did some research on them. There's a few that are a little bit shorter and then a few that are longer. So Cass, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Starting short and sweet with my little story about Eatons Tunnel, which apparently is also called North Bend Rail Trail Tunnel number 21, Silver Run Tunnel, and the Lost Tunnel. And it is part of the renowned North Bend Rail Trail that stretches 72 miles across north central and western West Virginia, coursing through 10 tunnels, including Eatons Tunnel, which spreads 2,297 feet and is said to be haunted.
Is that like 2,000 some odd feet? That's close to a mile, right? Or am I completely wrong?
I don't know.
I'm smart, but I'm not good at that.
It's been a long time since I've been in school. So
all right.
So the details are kind of fuzzy on that.
I think it might be like a half a mile, because I think a mile is like in the 5,000 feet range.
Oh, you might be right. That sounds about
might be.
Okay, that makes more sense to my brain as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. All right, so Eaton is currently a ghost town in Wood County, West Virginia. It sat along the path of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, also known to some as the B&O line. It connects Grafton, West Virginia to the Ohio River. Passenger service along the line stopped completely in the fall of 1981. Eaton's long-abandoned train station burned in the mid-1980s. That's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. What's actually kind of funny too is in mine, which obviously we'll get to, they actually had a fire there too. So yeah, that happened in 2015 actually.
Oh, so more recent.
More recent.
Yeah,
Wow.
super recently.
Well, the more you know.
Mm-hmm.
All rail service on the line was discontinued in 1988. The railroad tracks were removed in the 1990s and turned into part of the North Bend Rail Trail. Eaton's Tunnel is just one of the many tunnels that line the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. I'm just going to call it the B&O line. But yeah, the B&O line between Grafton and Parkersburg, West Virginia, which were built just after the Civil War between 1867 and 1870. But by the late 1950s, railroad freight cars were being built taller and wider. Therefore, the existing narrow, low tunnels on the B&O line were now creating the problem known as the bottleneck, which in general are points of congestion, slowing freight and passenger traffic due to limited capacity. So a clearance project was ordered to widen the walls and elevate the roofs to accommodate the large trains. Some of the tunnels had the roofs removed or daylighted, so they say, so they were just open, cut spaces for easy passage. Only 10 of the tunnels remain today. In total, 23 tunnels were built, and during many, men building it passed away due to several tragedies.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
My heart goes out to those families.
Yeah, that's rough out there.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about like collapsing tunnels and stuff, so it's kind of cool to like hear an actual like story from a local area.
I know, right? Like this was definitely an interesting research project for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue on then. The history of Eaton's Tunnel starts on June 6, 1963. 9 men were working on expanding the tunnel when it collapsed, trapping 3 men inside. One of them, Robert Earhart, was quickly rescued by the other workers and only had a broken ankle. The second one, Arthur Boggs, was rescued hours later from the rubble, but 3 days later died of his injuries at Columbus, Ohio Hospital. And the third one, Harry Buck Nichols, could not be reached. Every time the rescue crew tried, the more the tunnel walls fell, and they eventually stopped with the workers' family's blessing and sealed the tunnel with Harry still inside to inevitably rot and his remains never be recovered.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, gruesome.
That's rough.
Yeah. No markers were made to commemorate the workers' deaths, a new tunnel nearby was created, and there's only a muddy path leading to the original tunnel. Some people say that you can still hear the cries for help from Harry's ghost when passing the sealed tunnel entrance, still hoping for the rescue that never came.
So I'm not like obviously super familiar with the area. So there's two tunnels. One of them is the old one now, and one of them's like the new one that people walk through, or is it still
Yes.
this? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's the old one that they sealed that the three workers
We're
died.
in.
Well,
Yeah.
the one Harry died in. Then they have the new one nearby that they built.
Ah,
That's the
okay.
one that you can actually still walk to,
Oh, that's cool.
and has other ghost histories that we'll get into in a minute.
Ooh, fancy. All right.
Yeah. Yes, but obviously you can still the original one still obviously has its own ghost things too, like I said, because you can still visit that site,
hmm
and a lot of people have said that they can hear his cries for help still.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That would be really sad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I bet you like a lot of people who visit the area probably feel like a really like dreaded sensation going there because just that's like a heavy energy to carry for a
Yeah.
location. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if they've like lost a loved one too, that I feel like that would definitely weigh on their hearts a lot more.
yeah. Well, and like I know like I'm kind of in tune a little bit with the supernatural, and so like with areas that have a lot of heavy energy to them, when you walk into them, it's almost like there's like a weight on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like a weird sensation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right. Now, notably, Silver Run Tunnel gets a lot more recognition due to its Lady in White haunting. There you go, the one I just mentioned. But it is possible that she is known to haunt both tunnels as the railways connect to one another. The legend of the Lady in White goes that she was a bride who was waiting at the station and was either pushed or jumped onto the tracks and was hit by an oncoming train. Train engineers would often see her standing in or beside the tunnel. This happened in the nearby tunnel number 19 in Cairo, West Virginia. I apologize if I did pronounce that wrong. This is from Google. Now she is seen haunting the station by standing in front of the oncoming trains and then riding the cow catcher, which is the V-shaped frame on the front of old trains, designed to push obstacles like animals or debris off the tracks to prevent derailment. I always wondered what those were called. I see them all the time on like train models. It's like a little V.
yeah.
I was
Oh,
always wondering
Yeah, I
what that
didn't know
was.
that until like when you were having me kind of skim through this, and I like looked it up
Yeah.
too, and I was like, oh,
Right? It makes a lot more
That's what it
sense
is.
once
Yeah,
you
it
actually
does.
know
Yeah.
what it is. It's like I never knew the actual term for those things. I just saw them on the trains.
Yeah.
So one night, an engineer reported a woman in white who appeared at the tunnel entrance just as his train was approaching. The engineer tried to stop, but there was not enough time. The train struck the woman, sending her flying off the tracks. Imagine the mental trauma that the engineer must have gone through, thinking she was a real woman, not a
Yeah.
Oof.
ghost.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, there's a lot of engineers just in general who do hit people on the tracks.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
is true.
there's like
Yeah,
a
'cause,
ton of
like,
people who commit suicide just accidentally. Also, like I've been on railways before, and like you don't hear a train coming, which sounds crazy, but like
it
we were
doesn't.
taking pictures on one, which don't do that because that's a bad idea. But you know, we were young and we were like in a tunnel area, like it was like a bridge, and all
Yeah,
of a sudden we turned and there was a train that was only like probably like 200 feet away. We
yeah,
were like, what the fuck? Like we did not hear it at all.
yeah. No, I definitely get it because
That's
like I've
crazy.
I've
Yeah.
driven across train tracks and like we're like or around them, and we have trains coming and going all the time. I wouldn't know to stop and wait for the train to pass if they didn't have those bars that come down and block you or like have those lights.
Yeah,
Because I don't hear them coming. The only time I hear
Mhm.
them coming is when they blow their whistle when they are getting to that section.
yeah, it's
But like I
kind
don't.
of crazy because you would think that they would be loud.
You
Like
would think so.
so I've heard a lot of stories anyways, kind of going back to what you were saying, is
Yeah.
about engineers like hitting people and like
Yeah.
they do like face a lot of trauma from that.
Well, yeah, because like they watch it happen right there in front of their
Yeah.
eyes. They just
And they can't
and
stop, they can't do
intentionally.
anything about it.
Yeah,
Like,
they can't.
Yeah,
Because
they
like
can't
trains take
stop.
forever to
Yeah.
stop. Like if you're on the tracks and the train is actually does see you and is blowing the whistle, you better get out of the way because they can't stop in time.
Yeah.
They will hit you if you don't move.
Yeah, it's like a semi. So it's the same vibe.
Yeah.
as
Pretty
semis.
much, yeah, because because of like the weight and how big they are. It's
Yeah.
like it takes a heck of a lot more time to stop.
Mhm.
All right, so when the train finally stopped, the engineer and his crew searched in vain for the young woman's body, but it was nowhere to be found. After that report, engineers regularly reported seeing the woman and tried to avoid hitting her. Each time, the story was the same. She vanished into thin air. One engineer decided he would not stop for the apparition. When she appeared in front of his train, he blew the whistle but did not brake. The train smashed into the woman and she sailed up and over the engine. Some have heard a woman's soft voice calling, "Help me." Others hear men talking as if they are in a large group working their way through the tunnel. One person shared their story of being surrounded by a thick fog-like mist and an awful smell, and even felt something kick them in their chest, knocking the wind out of them.
Damn.
Wow.
There's that heavy weight on the chest that you mentioned.
Well, that's a little bit different than what I meant, but yeah, that would be
Yeah.
rough.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wonder if her riding the cow catchers happened after that guy decided just not to stop.
Maybe.
So she's like, oh, I'm going to ride the cow catchers, scare people.
Yeah, because like that does seem like a weird thing, I guess, for the ghost to start doing if she was, pushed or fell onto the tracks at the one station,
Yeah,
and then just for her to suddenly start riding them. I wonder if it's because people
they're
stopped giving
actually giving a crap.
yeah,
Like,
basically they saw
It's like,
her.
okay, yeah, she's not real. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah,
And then she got mad, like, okay, well, I'm just going to ride it then.
yeah, it kind
Yeah.
of also like gives into like the difference between like a residual haunting or like an intelligent haunting, where a residual is basically just like something traumatic happens, so the spirit that lives there kind of just goes through those events.
Yeah.
Or like an intelligent haunting is one that they like can actually like communicate with you and they'll respond to your questions and things like that.
They're a bit more sentient.
Yeah.
I
And
don't.
so I wonder if it's maybe one of those where she like might be a little bit intelligent, so she actually is like responding to how people have started quote unquote treat her as like an apparition and just like the train's just blowing through her basically.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
It'd be cool to check out. Which actually, speaking of,
No, it would not. I have been to Eaton's Tunnel myself, and let me tell you, those ghost stories do hold up. I went walking there with my friend before. One, I don't really like hiking super long distances anyways because I overheat very easily, and it was very hot that day, so I was already at my limit by the time we reached it. But we reached it, and that tunnel looked very dark and ominous and just very creepy. And I had that, I don't know, I had that weird sense that someone was watching me,
that's the
and
worst.
not in a good way.
Mhm.
Like it was not.
Is there a good way to be watched?
Yeah, well, guardian angels.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
there
guess
you
that's
go.
valid.
That's like the only good way is when you have a guardian angel.
I feel like somebody was watching me and not in a good way. Like, what is the good way?
I was extremely creeped out, left, and if that wasn't bad enough, we decided to go back. There's actually another entrance too. So we actually went back to the second entrance that is more wooded. It's more secluded, so it's even creepier already. But we decided to go back one night then with a couple other friends, and that was the worst experience. I actually stayed in the car. I did not go with them. I stayed in the car while they went to go check out the tunnel. Like I said, I was staying in the car, and while I was just waiting for my friends to come back, which I was literally just looking at the path the entire time, just waiting because I still had that creepy sense that someone was watching me from all the way over at this part of the entrance. So I was waiting for them to come back, and then this car pulls up behind me and just parks right behind me, turns their lights off, and just sits there.
Oh, that's creepy.
Like,
yeah, they didn't do
get out
anything.
or
They
anything?
did not get out. Nothing. They just turned the lights off and sat there. Yeah, so at this point, I was just like 100% just at my max, man, of creepiness. I locked my car and was just waiting desperately for my friends to come back so I could just quickly get them in there and just out of there. By the time they did, the car was still there, but they were running back to the car. Like they weren't just casually walking and laughing. They were running like they were spooked. They immediately got in the car and we immediately drove off. But that car that was behind me was still there, and they didn't see the car when they ran back.
Did they tell you like something happened to them where maybe were they not paying attention? They were just like, "Fuck, I need to get back in this fucking car." Dude.
Right.
Like,
I don't remember that part about them seeing the car behind them, but when I asked them what happened, it has been a while, so like the details are a little fuzzy.
mm-hmm.
But they had said that they were using one of my friend's flashlights as a phone as a flashlight.
Flashlight as a phone.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They were using their phone as a flashlight, and as far as I can remember, they said the battery was pretty full, if not, it wasn't like 100%.
Yeah.
And it's not that long of a hike to where it would have died. So she had said that as soon as they got to the tunnel, it just died.
So I'm guessing if they're using a flashlight, it was dark out.
Yes, sorry, this was at night. I thought I mentioned it.
I don't remember. You might have, but I missed it probably. But
no, you're fine. But yeah, this was at night, full pitch black darkness. The phone died as soon as they got there. That creeped the heck out of them, and I think pretty much as soon as it died too, I think they heard something as well. They just booked it back in the complete darkness to the car. Like
that's terrifying.
They even told me like we were really hoping we'd find the car because it was dark. Like they weren't.
Yeah.
They were scared they wouldn't find the car.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it'd be cool to go visit probably, but I don't know if I'd want to do it at night.
Yeah,
No.
do it during the daylight.
During daylight.
You'll probably still get that creepy watching you feeling,
Yeah.
and maybe like, those ghostly voices, but it's a heck of a lot safer and less creepy than at night.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever go at night.
Balls to the walls and go at 3 a.m., the witching hour. See what happens.
Hard pass. Like, even if you want to go during the daylight, find someone else to go with you. I won't. I'm sorry. I vowed since that night I will never ever go again, and I have kept that vow.
All right. So what do you have for us today, Scoot?
Well, you guys are in for a treat. I'm going to be talking about the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to talk about this.
Yeah, so I knew like a little bit about Eaton's Tunnel, but I honestly have like no information at all about the Trans Allegheny Asylum.
I have no detailed information of that either. I just know about it.
Oh, I'm excited, guys.
Yeah.
So let's just start off with some basic history. So it's located in Weston, West Virginia. When it was first opened, it was called the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, but over the years, while it was open, it went through like several name changes, like the West Virginia Hospital for the Insane, Weston State Hospital, and I think briefly it also just went by just Weston Hospital.
Kind of like Eaton's Tunnel, so many names.
Yes. Now, the asylum was built between 1858 and 1881. During that time, the Civil War had broke out, so there was a delay in building it.
Seeing a pattern of stuff being built after the Civil War.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a pretty big revolutionary time in America. You
yeah.
know?
Well, I know.
Now, it is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America. It was designed by the architect Richard Andrews, and the asylum was based on the Kirkbride plan. Now, that is a 19th century model, like for mental institutions back then, that really like emphasized having a lot of like spacious area, fresh air, sunlight. So during the Civil War, the asylum was used as a camp for like the Union. The southern wing of the asylum was completed at that time and was used for barracks, while the main foundation was used as like a stable. During the war, control would change, so it would change between the Confederacy and the Union. There was several Confederate raids in 1862 and 1863. Now, during 1864, there was a raid that stripped the asylum of all food and clothing that was intended for like the first group of patients. The hospital was opened in 1864, and now keep this in mind that this was only made to home 250 patients.
That's still a lot, though. I mean, especially.
I feel like that was a very pointed, like, keep this in mind
Keep-
because
yeah.
we're
Oh yeah.
about
No, I
to
know.
exceed that greatly.
Oh, I know.
Yes. And honestly, that was because they felt that the superintendent of the hospital could only keep so many patients while still keeping like quality of care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That I've noticed has been like a trend with a lot of old asylums that I've even just heard about is they start off with really good intentions. It's just that they get overcrowded so fast that then the quality of care goes down the drain.
Yeah, it just plummets.
Which brings me to my next point. By 1950, the asylum held over 2,400 patients,
Oh my
Whoa.
god.
exceedingly over maximum limit.
Yeah, I'd say like 200 to over 2,000.
But you also have to think back then, the standard to be admitted into an asylum was practically nothing. You could have asthma and you can be admitted. I mean, asylums were essentially like a dumping ground for like society's unwanted. Now, because there was so many patients, there was a lot of reports of just poor conditions. We're talking like unsanitary conditions, malnutrition, just due to a lack of resources, lack of like heating and lighting. So like there was definitely several cases of patients killing each other, violence towards staff. There was reports of women being physically and sexually like harassed by like more aggressive patients.
Yikes.
Not to mention also like actual treatments for patients were very barbaric. If you weren't heavily sedated, there was insulin shock therapy, which if you don't know what that is, that's where you were purposefully given large doses of insulin to induce a coma. And they would do that on a like regular basis, which would cause seizures.
my
And I'm
God.
sure like long term would probably cause brain damage and even, I mean, death.
Well, yeah, I'd say because
Yeah.
like I mean, you do run on insulin and stuff, but like too much of it will kill you.
And of course, you had like the standard, electroshock therapy.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know?
like that's
What's
like
a favorite?
famous.
They always
a
go to
favorite.
that one.
It's always
You got
a
asthma?
favorite
Let
and
me
famous.
shock you. That'll get rid of
Right?
it.
Yeah, you would think with all of the failures that they would have learned by then.
I mean, we learn now, you know, like
Well, yeah,
a
now
lot of
we know.
this, not that it was okay in any sense, but
No.
they did not have an understanding of medicine like we do now. On the flip side of that, after you can see that it's not working, why would you continue to use it on other patients? Like,
Exactly.
Oh, and then there was their favorite, which was the ice pick lobotomies. They did a lot of lobotomies.
Oh,
dude,
okay, yeah, I've never heard of that one.
I'm a little fucked up, so I like listen to a lot of podcasts on lobotomies. I think dark history is very intriguing. And like the things that they would do to people, it became basically more of like a show off for the doctors who would do it and less about the patients. So like at one point, I can't remember the name of the guy who did it, but he was like, I'm gonna do it like a double lobotomy. So what a lobotomy is like a tool that goes through your eye socket and damages your brain for lack of like a super in-depth explanation. And so he was like, I'm gonna do two at once. So he literally had like somebody with two picks in his eyes. I don't remember exactly because it was a couple of years ago that I researched it because it became a show off of my skills and with no care for the person receiving them. And it, yeah, like the entire point of a lobotomy was basically like, we're deeming you mentally insane, so we're going to scramble your brain. And what's weird is sometimes it did help.
That was actually one of my points. You know, they thought that like cutting the nerve, because what they would do is cut, like, they would separate the frontal cortex in your brain.
Yeah.
So they thought that, you know, cutting up those nerves would stabilize your mood, you know, and minimize emotion. And yeah, it did help some patients, but it also, some people died, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them definitely turned into like completely catatonic state. Others actually increased their like rage and things. Rosemary Kennedy is actually a really popular story for lobotomies because she actually received one and she was pretty docile. To my understanding, I could be a little bit incorrect because, like I said, it's been a while since I looked it up. But to my understanding, how I remembered it is that basically she was pretty docile to the staff that was around her. But then, as soon as her family came by, who had put her in the hospital, she attacked them because she like knew that they did it to her in a sense. Because if I remember correctly, she had some like behavioral issues, and so they were just like, "Well, we'll just put her in an asylum because we don't want to deal with her." basically. So anyway, sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent. Go ahead.
No, you're totally good. No, totally good. Now, several fires were actually set by patients in the asylum. There was specifically a larger one that broke out in 1935 that was in the fourth floor of the wing. Now, surprisingly, no one was killed, but they did have to rebuild. The hospital was forced to close due to years of decline, and then obviously standards of mental health changed, and
Yeah.
that was in 1994. So actually, more recent years if you think about it.
Yeah, that's kind of insane. Like that wasn't. I say that wasn't that long ago because I feel like the early 2000s were like a couple years ago, but in reality, that still wasn't that long ago. Like my sister is older than that.
Now, because of everything that's like happened in this building, there's a lot of paranormal activity, which I'm gonna like go over like the main, more popular ghosts that supposedly haunt this place.
Mhm.
I'll probably start with like probably the most known one. Her name's Lily. She was a little girl that was believed to be born in the asylum. Like her mother had been admitted and she was pregnant, and she was
Oh.
born in the asylum.
Oh man,
Yeah, and
that's sad.
And they just kept her there.
yeah, they kept her. Her mother apparently had died in childbirth, so
But
the
they still
nurses,
kept the child.
the nurses took care of her.
Oh.
Now, unfortunately, Lily only had a very short life. She unfortunately passed away at the age of 9 due to pneumonia.
Oh.
Yeah. Now her room was in the fourth floor, so the fourth ward. She apparently likes to play games with visitors and like staff, because apparently you can still go there and go on like historical tours or paranormal tours.
Mhm.
Some visitors like to bring her toys and leave them in her room.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sweet.
or like little gifts, candy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now there are reports saying that she'll like move toys around in the room. Apparently her favorite item is like a pink like music box, in that it'll just randomly start going off. It'll start playing music.
Oh.
And then sometimes you'll like hear giggles, or there's reports of people like having their hand held and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, see, this is a nice, like, wholesome ghost story that
Yeah,
I
she's
love.
a sweet little ghost,
I love
apparently.
the
Yeah.
stories of the sweet ones.
The best way I've always described it is that like there's bad people who could become a spirit, therefore being a negative spirit, or
Yes.
there's also good people who become a spirit and therefore they are a good spirit and positive spirit. So
Oh yeah, like I mean, I know there's like definitely both out there.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I
don't-
just love hearing the stories of like
I
the
was
good
gonna- you
ones.
don't hear the like positive stories very
Not-
often
no,
because
they're
everybody
not as
No,
popular.
yeah, everybody
no.
goes for that spook factor. So
Obviously, yeah. But like
Yeah.
I think it is very nice and like refreshing to hear the good positive ones
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you don't hear them nearly as often as the bad ones.
No, not at all. Now I'm going to talk about Ruth. Now Ruth was on the first floor, and they had a specific Civil War wing.
Oh,
At the
that's
time,
interesting.
yeah, she was a patient. She was an older woman, and it's unknown as to why, but she hated men and would
Okay.
throw things at men.
Oh,
kind of valid, especially for the time period.
Fair
Right.
enough. Now it says that she wanders the halls, and there's reports of like people being like pushed up against walls, and that's all we really know about Ruth.
She just likes to shove people and throw things at men.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
Honestly, when I die,
All right, now we're going to talk about the third floor. So there was 2 patients. Now during my research, I found one of them was named like Big Jim. Why? Who knows? Then the other patient had like multiple names, so I'm not going to mention his name. But they attempted to hang another patient, and unfortunately, they failed. So what they decided to do instead is they forced the man's head under a bedpost, and they jumped on the bed, which killed him.
good lord.
Oh,
Oh, this very violent time. Very violent time.
yeah. Was it due to their mental state, or was there a reason?
Nothing really specifically says.
It might have been like a mix of both.
Yeah,
But like
that's
we said
true.
before, like the conditions weren't exactly great, and that doesn't exactly lead to like positive interactions with others. So
Now, it's supposedly the ghost of the man that was murdered. Now, I've heard 2 names. I've heard Dean, and I've also heard Charlie. Supposedly haunts the room that he died in. Now, also, Big Jim, which is one of the men that murdered him, supposedly haunts the halls. A lot of people claim to have like a change in energy, like they'll feel ill when he's around, or possible like scratching and pushing from him. There was also a nurse named Elizabeth. We really don't know much about Elizabeth. And she apparently roams those halls as well. There's been like reports of apparitions, shadows, doors closing by themselves, and then like strange noises on like EVP, if you know what that is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have before, but just refresh my memory because it's been a while since I've heard that.
So it's where they kind of like they're recording. Correct me if I'm wrong. Essentially, where they'll record and then isn't it like a specific frequency of?
Yeah. Like there's a couple different types of communication devices to talk with the other side. And a lot of them are based off of it picks up on higher energy. So like a spirit box. A spirit box will continuously rotate through stations, like radio stations. So you just hear like kind of static.
Yeah.
And then the energy like that the ghost kind of chooses the words to communicate, they'll actually come through. Like that radio station will play for a certain amount of words. An EVP, I believe, if I'm thinking of the right one, is like a recording that kind of plays through static, and then you'll hear like words popping through the static, basically.
Okay.
So now we're going to go to the second floor. Now, the second floor had several violent events. There was a man stabbed 17 times.
Oh.
Yikes.
Huh.
And then there was 2 patients that hung themselves.
Oh my gosh.
And apparently those 2 patients that hung themselves apparently haunt the area like where they did it. There's been like reports of shadowy figures, visitors feeling like overwhelmed by like grief and anguish, and then others like reportedly felt like suffocated like when they entered the room.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was meaning when I was like that feeling of dread, that feeling. Sometimes you just walk in somewhere and you're just like, this is not a good place.
Yes,
or like
absolutely.
people feel like physically drained in a lot of these locations.
Yeah, like
stuff
Eaton's
like
Tunnel
that.
with me.
All right, and that's pretty much all I've got for you guys for this.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Nice. Yeah, that's
This was supposed to house 250 people and we got 2,000 in this bitch. That's rough.
Ooh, very rough, man.
So I am going to talk about the Lake Shawnee Amusement Park, which is ironically something that I've been really interested in since I found out about it after I moved here. To start, I want to go into some of its history because it has a lot of it, which kind of makes it not only like a tragic place, but also like a interesting place to like research and learn about and even visit. And that's like unrelated to the spooky happenings of everything. So its history really starts with the Native Americans that lived on the land. They were known as the Shawnee. They were commonly settled in areas like below Lake Erie along both sides of the Ohio River. Those areas correspond to present day like southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and western West Virginia. There were even eventually like some reports seeing them along the Delaware River in the 17th century. And then in the 18th century, they were even occupying parts of central Pennsylvania. So they were just kind of all in this pretty like,
one big like circle,
localized area. When it comes to Lake Shawnee and the history there specifically, if you go to their website and you look at the prominent, I think it said like prominent leaders that are tied to Lake Shawnee or something like that. They have 2 Shawnee leaders, Hokulesqua and Tecumseh, I believe. I tried to Google how to pronounce them. I apologize basically if I did not pronounce them right, but I did. I tried. I do my best. I like did the whole like voice animation thing where you like listen to it, and I'm like playing it 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
No, you're good. It's like trying to pronounce the Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Right. Worcestershire.
So we'll start with Hokulesqua. So he was a prominent leader of the Shawnee Nation just prior to the American Revolutionary War between 1775 and 1783. When the British American colonies began expanding into the Ohio country, he played a major part in the defense for the Shawnee and their homeland. He was the primary Shawnee war chief in Dunmore's War in 1774, which was between the Shawnees and the British colonies. He led the Shawnees and other native warriors against the colonists in the Battle of Point Pleasant, which was the major action point in Dunmore's War. After suffering defeat in that battle.
Sorry, was it like Point Pleasant, West Virginia? Because we're talking about West Virginia, or is that like a different place?
I think it was Point Pleasant, West Virginia, but like
Oh.
also it's kind of weird because like some of the things are like during the time that we're reading about, it's like considered like Virginia, but then
Yeah.
it becomes West Virginia. So it might be, I'm not exactly sure the exact location of it. But
Yeah, no, that's not. I was just saying, yeah,
yeah,
I've
I
been there
think,
before because I mean, I've been there for the Mothman Festival.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think it is like Point Pleasant as we know it, but
Oh,
I
okay, yeah,
could be
that's cool.
wrong.
That's a cool little tidbit because, like,
Yeah.
it's known for more than just that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after suffering defeat in that battle, Hokulesqua became an advocate for the Shawnees' neutrality in the American Revolutionary War because he feared that fighting the Americans would actually prove disastrous for them. And then in 1777, Hokulesqua made a diplomatic visit to Fort Randolph in Virginia, which is now West Virginia. He and 3 others were imprisoned by the fort's commander, and when an American soldier was killed near the fort, the angry soldiers executed all 4 of them,
Oof.
which not only was tragic, but it also deprived the Shawnee of an important voice of moderation. Because, like, at this time, white people were coming over and they were just like infiltrating and claiming lands that weren't theirs and all of these things.
Yeah.
So Hokulesqua really like was trying to find peace between the two, like I was gonna say tribes, but the colonists and the Native
There you
Americans.
go.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down. Don't worry.
Picking up what I'm laying down. Tecumseh was a Shawnee chief and warrior who, in contrast to Hokulesqua, he actually promoted resistance to the expansion of the United States. Tecumseh proclaimed that Native Americans owned their lands and urged tribes not to cede more territory unless they all agreed. His message alarmed American leaders as well as Native leaders who sought to accommodate with the United States. In the War of 1812, Tecumseh joined his cause with the British. They recruited warriors and actually helped to capture Detroit in August. Then, when U.S. naval forces took control of Lake Erie in the following year, Tecumseh reluctantly retreated with the British into Upper Canada. But then troops led by Richard Johnson engaged them at the Battle of Thames on October 5th, in which Tecumseh was killed. So his death caused his Confederacy to collapse, and the lands that he fought to defend were eventually ceded to the US government. I thought it was important to bring both of them up because we go a little bit more into the history, and it's kind of really necessary to understand the political climate of the time. Like I said before, like white people were coming in, claiming lands that they had no right to, and in turn, the Native Americans were either forced to side with the British or try to create peace between the U.S. and their tribes, which led a lot of them to just being angry.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah, like, I mean, we technically did take their lands, like they were
We
there
100%
first.
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were
And-
there first.
Which I'll get into a little bit later too. It wasn't like we went to them and we were like, hey, we're trying to like build here. It was like white people came in and were literally like, this land's mine now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like,
It's like-
they gave them no choice. They're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is mine now. You may have been here first, but I don't care. This is ours now.
Yeah. We'll actually get into that a little bit now. So, in the 17th century, in 1775, Mitchell Clay won a grant for 800 acres of land in the present-day Mercer County. This grant was basically given out by the quote-unquote authorities at the time. Yeah, just white people with an opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was for people to settle and develop the land. So 800 acres of land was given to Mitchell Clay with the rule that every year he had to clear some of the acreage. And it was there him, his wife, and their 14 children.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Decided to build a farm and create a life for themselves. Now, like I previously stated, there were some tribe leaders who were trying to work with the settlers for peace, but there were also some who were rightfully angry. And that's where we find ourselves with the Clay family. The tribes nearby were not happy that the land that they had been living on was literally just given away.
Yeah.
Although the Shawnee hadn't actively been inhabiting the land for about a decade, that doesn't mean it wasn't being used by the tribe. Multiple times they had warned the family that they were not happy about the agreement of the land being given away because, like I said, there wasn't an agreement between anybody. It was authorities who
It was-
just gave
yeah.
it away.
Said,
Yeah.
yeah, like it was literally just them coming in and like, yep,
Yeah.
ours
so,
now, you gotta leave.
Yeah, so several times they told, or I don't know exactly how that communication went,
Yeah.
but the Clay family were made known that the Shawnee tribe was not happy that the land that was important to them was just given to them to be developed. Fast forwarding about 8 years, the Clay family had settled on this land, and Mitchell Clay either went out to buy salt in preparation for the fall hunt, or he went out hunting, and like the two older boys, also went out hunting. So it was really just like his wife and some of the younger kids. I think the oldest one that was still on the farm at the time was 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Bartley and Ezekiel were two of the children who were working on fencing, and then Tabitha was washing laundry nearby. And it was during this time that 11 Native Americans attacked the homestead. The first shot was dealt to Bartley, killing him instantly. Ezekiel was grabbed. Now, Tabitha had heard the shot and actually began running back to the house. But according to some stories, the positioning that she was at, she had to run past where her brothers were at to get to the home. So it is frustrating to find information about exactly what went down, because some places are like, Tabitha tried to stop and help her brother, and then other places are like, no, she was just trying to get back to the house. But either way, she was grabbed and attacked by one of the Native Americans who stabbed her to death.
Oh.
Yeah. Phoebe was able to get her other children inside because there was a gentleman also on the homestead. His name was Mr. Blankenship. So he had a gun, and he was afraid to intervene. He was like, well, if I try to shoot one of the Native Americans, I could hit Tabitha. Or even if I do end up killing one of them, what's to stop the other ones from just attacking her anyways?
Yeah, so it was kind of just
It was
an
a
inevitable
lose-lose.
death.
Yeah.
Situation.
So he ended up just dipping and running. And so some reports say that he was a coward because he literally just fucking left.
Yeah.
But others say that he was trying to actually create a diversion. The group of attackers actually ended up following him, and that's what allowed Phoebe to get her children inside. So then, shortly after she got into the house and she realized that now two of her children were dead and Ezekiel was grabbed by the Native American group, she left to go to James Bailey's house, who was her neighbors. Now, James Bailey lived 6 miles away, and so she ran with the rest of her kids through the forest, through the woods,
Oh my gosh.
to James Bailey's house. Yeah. Which is just mind-boggling. I can't imagine going
Yeah.
through that tragedy and then also still having to take all of your kids through
6 miles.
woods,
6
miles, and you
miles,
don't
yeah.
know if the group that attacked you is still there.
On your tail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she got to the neighbor's house, and it was around this time or a little shortly after that Mitchell Clay returned home, where he found the 2 bodies of his kids, and he assumed that all of them were massacred or taken at the very least. So he also went to Bailey's house to form a search party, which luckily so he met up with his wife there. They both went back home and buried Tabitha and Bartley on the land. They are still buried on Lake Shawnee, and their graves are still marked. So if you went to visit it, you would still
You'd
be
see
able
their
to
markers.
find it.
Yeah. If they had a name on there, can you still even read the names, or is
I
it
don't know. I know that they do have a plaque about the massacre that happened.
Oh, okay.
I also saw a couple stories saying that the 2 boys were scalped too.
Oh.
I couldn't fully prove that, obviously. I saw one newspaper article from around that time that stated that they were, but I couldn't other than that, there was kind of people were like, no, they weren't, or yes, they were.
Yeah.
So like I said, Ezekiel had been grabbed by them, and he was actually taken to Ohio and burned at the stake.
Wow.
So Mitchell did form a search party, and during this process, like I said, a lot of blood was shed on both sides. And after Ezekiel was killed, it stated that Mitchell Clay did not actually seek revenge, but instead he just wanted to give his children a proper burial. He made a deal with the Shawnee chief, ending the dispute, and the chief let Mitchell take Ezekiel's body back to the land to be properly buried. Here's also like two different stories. One says that he was buried on the land, but we just don't know where. And the others say that both Bartley and Tabitha were exhumed, and then all three children were buried together somewhere on the property.
Mm.
So now the amusement park. So we're going to fast forward, 100 some odd years to 1926. Conley Trigg Snido Sr. purchased the land and began developing an amusement park. He imagined breathing new life into the land with the goal of creating a place for families to enjoy. So he purchased and built circular swings, Ferris wheel, as well as things like concessions, swimming hole, speakeasy, and more. It quickly became a destination for people to enjoy, especially with the local coal miners of the area. It was a big draw. At the time,
Yeah.
amusement parks in general were still pretty early in terms of development.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, because you know how we absolutely love, Knoebels up in Elysburg, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That actually is the year that was opened and founded too, was 1926.
That's
which,
they weren't like major, they
no,
were.
not yet. Like, I mean, it was mainly just like a roller rink and some other small attractions at that point.
Yeah. So the first steel Ferris wheel was developed only 30 years before this amusement park opened. And the first swing ride was patented in 1904. So like I said, this is all like still very new
Oh, yeah.
technology for the time, and therefore it's super exciting for people. So the park really started making a name for itself. Then this is where the tragedy began to hit. There are like a lot of stories, and they vary greatly on how many kids have actually died there. Mostly it's just 2 deaths that are listed, but I have found many articles and resources that say 6 children died at the park. And in my own research, I can in fact place 3 deaths through newspaper clippings that I have found. So I'm going to do my best to try to list everything that I found, basically kind of in order from like the most reported and the most factual to like ones that are a one-off comment here and there, but just that way I can still include them. I'm also going to try to weed out the fact from the not so fact, because I don't want to say fiction, because there's also stories. So currently the park is open for like tourism, basically. And when you go on your guided tour, the owner will like share stories, and he even has more evidence of some of the things happening, but he kind of keeps them close to the chest and doesn't make it worldwide known.
Yeah, because then the tours wouldn't be as interesting because you would have already known the facts that he would be spewing out to you.
Exactly. So like I get it, but therefore I don't want to call anything fiction because it could be something that he has facts about that I just
you
can't
can just
find.
call them, what do they do call them when it's like speculation?
Yeah,
I guess
speculation.
just speculation
Yeah,
stories. I don't know.
So the first 2 that I'm gonna list are the ones that are widely reported on, and then we'll go from there. So first, and the most well-known one, is the girl on the swings. In 1966, a young girl was on the swing ride when a delivery truck that was dropping off drinks backed up into the path of the swings, and the girl struck into the truck, killing her.
Goodness.
In the early development of these swing sets, they could still get up to 30 miles per hour. And some places say that those who witnessed the event remember just seeing massive amounts of blood everywhere.
Oh.
Now, I did find her name in quotation marks. When I was looking for her death record, I couldn't find anything, but this one article said that she died in a different year of 1927, and that her name was Emmeline Schrader.
Uh-huh.
That article also had no reliable resources. It seems to be like a kind of trail of like, this article decided to just make up something, and then this article quoted that article as a fact type of thing, which is not how it works.
No.
So, take that with a grain of salt. I don't think that was her name. Also, it's more widely reported that she died in 1966, not 1920.
Yeah, because that would have only been a year after the park opened.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right at
No,
all.
because you were saying that it was like widely getting known and everything, but like I don't think it would have been like that in a year after it opened.
Yeah, no. And because there isn't really any solid evidence about this case, there are people who think it's made up and just got popular based off of the horrific tragedy that it would be.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's really no like newspaper articles, so I get why people are like, I don't think it actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second most recorded death is a drowning victim. In 1961, a 6-year-old boy named Wayne Eugene Harmon drowned in the pond, which was their swimming pool.
Yeah.
Stated in the clipping that I found that he was described by his mother as a pretty good swimmer and had even taken lessons the previous year. He was swimming with his mother, siblings, and a bunch of others in the pool, and there's even 2 lifeguards on duty at the time. No one saw him go under. So,
That's
yeah,
very suspicious
weird.
A little
there.
odd.
Yeah.
Many sources say that either his clothing or his arm got stuck in a drain under the water, but the article that I found about his death didn't say anything about that, just that he was discovered later when another child who was swimming kicked his body under the water. And he
Oh,
sexually-
man, that was traumatizing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did find an article, and it's fairly commonly believed that a little boy drowned in the 30s, because Wayne Eugene Harmon was in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people say that there was another boy who drowned in the 30s while swimming in the pool after his mom had dropped him off, and that park bosses at the time then filled the pool with sand because they wanted to avoid a repeat accident. My thing with that is if they filled the pools after this unreported death in the 30s,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been 1, long before the park closed down, which doesn't seem logical. And 2, the pool related death that I did find was in the 60s. So how would that have happened if the pools were filled with sand?
Sand.
Exactly.
Yeah, how would he get caught with the drain if there was sand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't.
It does not add up, man.
Yeah,
The
no.
math is not mathing.
The math is not mathing. So what I'm thinking is maybe it's confused with Harmon's death in 1961. Like people think that it happened, that it happened earlier, and that maybe that is when, after his death, that they filled the pools with sand, which still is weird because I didn't find anything about the pools actually being filled with sand, just like articles saying that they were.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming this is more of a case of just confusion of time, of a timeline. But the same article that gave us the very well credible name of Emmeline Schrader also stated that in 1930, a boy named George Wythe drowned in the park swimming pool. But once again, I could not find anything that happened in the 30s about anybody drowning. So
I take that with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So rewinding a bit to 1945, there was a death of a 13-year-old Marlene Gilly Williams. She drowned in the Lake Shawnee in 9 feet of water. I'm not sure why that was specified in the newspaper, but it was.
Huh.
And then there's also John Richard Talley. In 1966, he was either 11 or 12 when he drowned in the Shawnee Lake on the 4th of July weekend.
Oh my gosh, it's
I'm
all
finding
drowning.
a common
Yeah, very common.
pattern.
I closed the pond at that point.
Speaking of common patterns, this
Oh,
is
no.
literally my next point, which is funny. Something really weird that I found in my research is that all of those 3 drownings and a bunch of others that I found that were either like more related to the lake itself, less of the park, or like they didn't die, they were drowning and they were brought back, or they were found like down the river, so like right next to the lake in some capacity, all happened on a Sunday.
Oh.
That's weird.
Right? I was like,
What?
that's suspicious.
All right.
And like, I'm always like a logical, slightly skeptical person, so I'm like, okay, well, people do more things on the weekend.
Yeah.
So maybe but it's still like, it's not like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
It's
They're
just
all on a
Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh man.
Yeah, so to the deaths that I legitimately can't find anything on. There's another story of a little girl falling from the swings, leading her to her death. I also think that this might just be a confusion of the original story.
It could be, yeah.
Either way, I included it. I also saw a comment that said twin boys fell from the Ferris wheel to their deaths.
Oh.
Yeah, which I couldn't find anything on. Another story about a 3-year-old girl who was crushed by a lift of some kind. Just because I couldn't find anything on him doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also don't think it's super credible if you can't find anything on him other than a he said, she said game.
True.
Yeah.
So I still included him. because if they did genuinely happen there, then it's important to share that story. Moving forward, after all of those deaths, the park did close down in 1967. Some reports state that it closed due to a failed health inspection, but others state that it was after the incident with the little girl in the delivery truck. I did find a newspaper article in 2015 that the current owner did an interview and said that the park closed because of the deaths that happened.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
Valid.
sense because, you know, if all those drownings really did happen,
Yeah.
yeah,
The drownings, the little girl in the swings.
yeah.
Yep.
Which, once again, I couldn't find anything about that, but the current owner has said that 100% that has happened. Nonetheless, in 1985, Gaylord White purchased the land with goals to reopen the park. White was a former employee, actually, at the park when it was first opened and running.
Oh, well, that's nice, though, that
Yeah.
they wanted to do that.
Yeah, so
Like,
I was
keep it
like,
going.
he probably had such, like, great memories about there, even like,
with
in spite of the deaths.
tragedies, yeah.
So he had, like, big ambitions to restore it to its former glory.
I mean, which is, still understandable because, like, there's lots of amusement parks out here where, like, deaths have happened there,
Yeah,
and yet they still run. They're still fine.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for accidents to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, thinking to the time period, and, like, this wasn't
Well,
like
yeah,
a
that-
massive amusement park with,
Mhm.
like, crazy rides. I mean,
No.
I'm sure some of them could just be, like, attributed to, like, there's no safety regulations
Yeah.
Yeah,
during the
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
So Gaylord White sent out to buy a Ferris wheel in the swing because, like I said, he's trying to reopen the park, and he's like, I have these memories. I want it to look as close to the original park as we can get it.
Yeah.
So he set out to buy a Ferris wheel and a swing, since the original of them, I believe, were, like, sold off after the park closed.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. He repurchased a Ferris wheel and a swing ride from New Jersey. He repurchased a Ferris wheel that wasn't necessarily from New Jersey. I couldn't find where he got that from. The swing ride was from New Jersey. And when they get the swings back to the park, they run the serial numbers on it, right?
Uh-huh.
It's the same exact swing from the opening in 1926.
What would be the chances?
Holy.
Right?
What are the freaking chances, man?
Like,
Wow.
I get that he was, like, actively searching for one that looked similar because he wanted to recreate the park.
Yeah, but, like,
still,
to get the exact
same one?
Yeah, like, to get the exact same one from the opening of the park. Oh,
Freaky.
very, very freaky.
So the park did end up reopening, and it actually did fairly well for about 2 years.
Oh.
Then insurance rates kept increasing and increasing, and they couldn't keep up with it anymore, so they ended up shutting it down once more in 1988.
Oh.
Because of the shutdown, White saw other uses for the location, such as, like, fishing tournaments and off-road motorsports. They came up with a plan to create a track for a sport called mud bogging, which is basically just a muddy track where, like, modified trucks and ATVs drive through it. And they either try to get through it the fastest or complete the longest distance, apparently. I had to Google it
Invigorating.
because I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, invigorating.
Yeah, right. I'm sure it's somebody's cup of tea.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's fine.
somebody.
It's just not mine.
It's not my cup of tea for sure, but like you said, I'm sure it is definitely
Yeah,
somebody's.
I'm not hating on your sport. I just
No. Not hating on anybody's sports or hobbies here, just putting our own opinions in there.
you know what they say about opinions.
Right.
So as they were excavating the land, they found some artifacts that belonged to the Shawnee tribe. So they called a university who sent out some archaeologists to help with the dig. They spent several years excavating artifacts from the tribe, and like I said previously before, when the Clay family had tried to build a home there, the Shawnees were not actively settled there, but it does not mean that they were not using the land.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was during this excavation process that they uncovered that it was used as a burial ground for the tribe. They stopped digging after finding 13 graves, but it is now estimated that upwards of 3,000 people from the Shawnee were buried there.
Oh my gosh.
And they also, like, estimate that if they kept digging, it would probably go back even farther.
Even more.
Yeah.
This has led a lot of people calling the lands cursed. So there is this trope that runs rampant through America. And it basically is like, oh, there's a burial ground. Well, that automatically means that the ground is cursed or has a negative energy. And
Or haunted.
It's haunted.
I've heard
And
that everywhere.
yeah, I think it started like in the 80s because that's when movies started to really use it. When they were
Yeah.
making horror movies.
Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary. But it's just like, it bothers me a lot because that's not the case. These type of burial grounds were sacred for their people. So not only does it make sense why they were angry that a bunch of white people came in and were like, all right, I'm going to take this, but it also needs to be viewed as such, like not some dark cursed lands because there's an ancient sacred burial ground, but as a spot of history and importance to the Shawnee.
Mm-hmm.
Even on the site, like when you go to Lake Shawnee's website, they ask you to actually bring offerings for all of those that have passed on the property, including the
Oh.
Native Americans still buried there.
Wow.
With that being said, I do believe, however, that building an amusement park on top of a sacred place and disturbing the rest of those who had passed probably doesn't lead to a positive energy in the area.
No.
Tragedies like those that have taken place here, they hold energy, and so it does make sense that that energy could continue through the afterlife and back into the living side of things. So once again, I'm not saying that there's a burial ground here and that's why there's paranormal happenings, or like that's why the tragedies happened, but I just don't think that, basically, even though it was unintentional, but disrespecting the burial ground that was there and the way that they did necessarily led to anything positive
Yeah.
coming from that. There have actually been no reports of like an evil or dark energy here at all. Most people have reported a childlike energy to the hauntings that have happened, which makes sense.
Makes sense for that girl and the boys. Yep.
Yeah, for just
Mainly
all
children.
of the
All
victims.
of the children. Yeah.
The worst feeling that I guess some people get is that feeling of being watched from the tree line,
Hate
which
that
is
feeling.
still unsettling.
Very
But
unsettling.
some other paranormal happenings that have been reported: the little girl on the swings. So she is often seen around the park and people leave offerings to her, specifically like toys. And her swing that she was on is actually marked by a ribbon, but she seems to prefer the adjacent swing to it where there's like an owl ornament that hangs down.
Oh.
Oh. Okay.
Many have seen that ornament moving even when there's no wind, or like randomly just kind of falling limp, like somebody
Yeah.
who was playing with it dropped it.
Yeah.
Chris, the current owner of the park, said that his dad, Gaylord White, even had an experience with her. So Gaylord White was on the tractor to mow and he kept feeling a weight on his shoulders. So finally one day he like turned and saw the apparition of a girl in her dress. And he was basically like, well, if you like the tractor so much, have it. And that tractor has been sitting there since the late 1900s.
Oh wow.
Late
Oh.
1900. That made me feel old. I meant to say the late 90s. The late 1900s.
Yeah.
Good lord. It's also believed that one of the drowning victims prefers to spend his time near the entrance to the park, and he'll play with a pinwheel that's attached to the side of an old ticket booth. Like the owl, the pinwheel moves even when there's no wind, and there's time where people have asked the pinwheel to move, like to speed up, to go faster, stop, and it does. It responds to them. Chris explained that when the Discovery Channel was filming there at one point, one of the investigators got stuck in the ticket booth and went into a panic.
Oh.
He said, quote, she couldn't get out and she was yelling for help. It was a push door and she was pushing, end quote. So, like, that makes me think that there's probably like a little kid who kind of trapped her in there.
Yeah.
Thought it was
Yeah.
funny.
Thought it was very funny.
The Ferris wheel, this one I find super interesting because, like I said, there's no confirmed deaths on the Ferris wheel, but a full body apparition is often seen in the bucket marked with a number 10. And there's allegedly a video captured of the seatbelt buckling and unbuckling on its own. I didn't find the video, but to be honest, I didn't look for the video. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
it's still interesting. So
Fair enough. Not everybody has time for that.
yeah, like I said, I think it's cool because there are those rumors about the twin boys dying there. So it's like, are the rumors there because of the apparition, or is the apparition actually a result of the death?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a few Reddit posts about personal experiences. So one person reported that after sitting on the swings, they felt a burning sensation on their back, and after checking it out with a flashlight, they had 3 distinct scratches down it. There's also reports of apparition in the school bus that's on the location. Some people say they can hear Native American war drums and chanting or children laughing. And then this is going back to the fire that we kind of mentioned earlier. So it wasn't in 2015, it was actually last year. In
Ooh.
2025, a fire broke out and burned one of their structures at the park. They think it was set intentionally, that like somebody slammed an ATV into a fire pit that was lit and it pushed up against the pavilion. Which, like, shame on you if you did that. Either if you were being careless and did it on accident, shame on you for not getting help.
Yeah.
Shame on you double time if you were trying to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Anyways, looking at the damages, Chris's wife spotted an untouched bell in all of the debris. So, like, everything's charred and burnt around it, and there's, like, this pristine bell in the middle of everything. And it's been known that the little girl who died on the swings loves to play with bells. The last thing I want to touch on, and the reason I picked Lake Shawnee, is that I've had 2 dreams about it. So they were both practically the same, but like the point of view switches. So one was like in third person, where I was kind of like seeing it up from like almost like a security camera angle. And then the other one was first person. So basically, in the dream, I'm at an amusement park. And in the third person perspective, it's a lot more rundown and rusted. But in the first person, it's like a vibrant amusement park still. So in the third person perspective, I see this little girl on the swing, and the way I'm facing, there's like a building to the right of it, and she's spinning around, and I see a truck, like a light blue delivery truck, backing up. Then I see the little girl slam into it. And I remember trying to like scream to like get the truck to move, but it was like I was like a bodiless viewpoint, like I said, like a security camera. But like one thing that I remembered, because of course it's a dream, so it's like choppy and like kind of weird, but I really distinctly remember like the little girl swinging, and then like at one point she like turned and looked up at me and like smiled, and then she hit the truck. And in the first person view, I am the little girl, like I'm the person on the swings.
Oh man, that'll definitely give you what do they call it? Like when you wake up from a nightmare and you're paralyzed.
Sleep paralysis.
Yes, thank you. That definitely would cause sleep paralysis.
So in the first person perspective, I am sitting on the truck and I like spin and I start like seeing the truck back up. And as like the first spin goes around, I just miss it, and then the second spin and I slam into it. And it's something that I thought was really like just a weird dream. Like I get nightmares a lot, so I wasn't like alarmed about it. Just my normal amount of alarm, I guess. Waking up with a nightmare. I woke up with like a heavy feeling, but then I moved to West Virginia and I was talking to my boss, and she shared the story of the lake to me, and I like went pale, and I was like because I had no idea about the story.
I was going to say, so this was like
before. The dream, you had the dreams before.
This was like, this was, I think the first one I had was probably like 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And then I had like another one, I think maybe 4 or 3 years ago.
That's spooky.
I was like
very spooky.
Like I like felt I'm at work and I'm like pale, and she was like, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "I have to tell you."
Wow.
But here's the weird thing. So on my quest for information, I was obviously scrolling Reddit trying to find some ghost stories to share. And I stumbled upon a user by Jess, what's her name? She posted it, or they posted a year ago. It started with some brief history of the park, and then they go on to say, quote, "My story. I have a vivid memory/dream of a death at a small amusement park. I remember the magical Ferris wheel overlooking a lake and a body of water. Everything was fun and exciting as I was enjoying rides with my family. I was on a ride when suddenly something abruptly happened, and then I was falling, then on the ground, surrounded by people crying and screaming. Something terrible happened. I was unsure what, but I knew my family was upset. From the grass, which is at an odd angle, I could see the Ferris wheel in the background, and I remember how sad and horrific the event felt before the dream ended. For some reason, I thought that there were more injuries and deaths at the time, and I just woke up with this strong feeling of loss and despair that lasted for days, like I was grieving a life lost. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know if that's like, if the way that they describe their dream, if they're like falling from the Ferris wheel, or
Yeah.
if they can just see the Ferris wheel. But I was like, dude, like that's two people. And like, what are the chances that I stumbled on this story?
Yeah.
Like, I was like digging through Reddit, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they describe like kind of what the feeling was a lot better. Like it wasn't, when I woke up, it wasn't like a typical, just like, oh my god, I had a nightmare feeling.
Uh-huh.
It was like a really heavy feeling.
That's crazy. What are the
Yeah.
chances?
Yeah,
It's
very.
so weird.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah. And like it makes me think of the Ferris wheel apparition again, because
Yeah.
if from their viewpoint, if they were falling from the Ferris wheel,
Yeah.
is that like they had a premonition of the death that happened there?
Yeah.
Not really
Yeah.
premonition, because that usually means you see it before it's
Before,
happening.
yeah.
But
Well,
you get
yeah.
my point.
Yes.
Like a past life kind of vibe, or is this, did we both see the event that happened with the little girl, and that's why she could see the Ferris wheel in her dream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very spooky, it's very strange, and like I would really love to visit, but I'm scared of like
Right.
going and
Yeah.
having it like unlock some part of my brain, because it was just freaky. Like,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so that's Lake Shawnee, which is, like I said, a lot of history to it, but I thought it was
Yeah.
important to include. So
Yeah.
Oh
No,
yeah.
a
Absolutely.
lot of history definitely that like led up to the whole all the hauntings and everything there.
yeah, it just all really makes sense with each other. I hope like if we ever decided to go visit, I would definitely drag you guys along with me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely more the merrier, more
Yeah.
the protective.
But I would like to see if some of the deaths that have been reported on are actually like legitimate.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be
like
cool.
that could be a part of the like I said, the owner's stories. Like if
Yeah.
it could be part of that, and he could shed more light to it.
Exactly. But yeah, so that is us and our investigation on West Virginia spooky stories. Catch us next week for West Virginia cryptids. We can say bye now.
That's what do we say
I was
bye?
gonna say, what do we say now?
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.